How's it going, Yankee fans? Welcome back to Fireside Yankees with your boys, Alex and Ryan. We got another spring training game today with Luis Severino on the mound against the Detroit Tigers. I don't know what it is about the Yankees and Severino always playing against the Detroit Tigers, but we haven't won many spring training games lately, and that's okay because these games are meant to be developmental. They're meant to get some prospects in the mix and to iron out a lot of deficiencies ahead of the regular season. But we got opening day coming up in 9 days, my friends. We got so much baseball and actual baseball, real baseball, impactful baseball, meaningful baseball coming up, and we are very excited to join you guys. Hopefully you guys join us along for the ride of this upcoming season. But today we want to talk about kind of World Baseball Classic stuff and 3 Japanese players who could be posted, will be posted in the next coming few years, and the Yankees could find themselves one of these stars. They could go out and find themselves a ridiculous hitter or a tremendous pitcher. There's a lot of talent to go around. Some of them are better than others, but all of them are equally as impressive, and we're seeing that on full display during the WBC. So Ryan, before we dive into it, how you do today, my friend?
I'm doing great. As you mentioned, opening day's right around the corner, but the WBC has certainly given us a dose of exciting baseball, kind of getting us excited for what could be a very exciting regular season. Plenty of star talent, plenty of really competitive teams, and Team Japan has played really well in the tournament, and a big part of that is these 3 guys, man. I know when we talked about Masataka Yoshida prior in the offseason, we talked about just the Yankees potentially looking internationally. They have some connections. You look at Hideki Matsui and Masahiro Tanaka. Those are 2 very iconic Yankees in the 21st century. Those guys became, household names in the United States and were household names in Japan. So, there is some sort of allure to playing in New York. These 3 guys, I mean, you mentioned it, right? These guys are star caliber players, right? Star caliber talents. And not a single guy here is over the age of 24, right? So, the younger guys, which are Murakami and Sasaki, are not going to be posted yet. Those guys, I believe, are 2026 posts. So they will be posted following the 2025 season. And then you have Yamamoto, and he's the back-to-back Cy Young winner. They call it the Sawamura Award. It was named after a pitcher who was dominant back in the 1940s. And he has a sub-2 ERA both years. He has a sub-1.7 ERA. Actually, he's been dominant. He doesn't walk batters. He has great command. He has excellent pitches, right? His stuff plus is ridiculous in this tournament. He boasts a fastball, a sweeper, a cutter, a splitter, a curveball. The scouting report on him is that he can manipulate his fastballs, to manipulate the shape whenever he pleases. He added velocity. He's sitting 95, 96 in his fastball. He's going to be 24 years old or 25 years old when he's posted at the end of the 2023 season. The Yankees, I know, have been interested in him. I know that last year they sent scouts over to Japan to go watch him. But that the Yankees are going to need starting pitching at the end of this offseason. Every team needs starting pitching, but the Yankees are losing Montas and Severino to free agency. Whether or not you think Montas is going to make any impact this year, he still is a notable free agent. And of course, Luis Severino has been a longtime Yankee, a fixture in this rotation. Yamamoto presents himself as a really young option for the Yankees. They could give him a 6 to 7 year deal and not be worried about the aging curve or age regression hitting him too hard. This dude pitches deep into games. He threw 193 innings in just 23 starts last year, 26 starts last year. He was averaging over 7 innings a start. This is a guy who's durable. He'll throw strikes. He has great swing and miss stuff, great ground ball pitches. You look at an organization like the Yankees who have been excellent with pitching development. We know that Kodai Senga went to the Mets because he liked the analytics that the Mets have, right? He liked that the Mets are an analytical organization. He went to go work with Driveline over the offseason, right? I think that this type of stuff like data analytics, it can drive interest from international superstars to come to your franchise, because end of the day, they want to go into a place that they can succeed. They want to go win a World Series. They don't want to go to the U.S. just to go to the U.S., right? They have, the NPB is already a phenomenal baseball league. They're already superstars in Japan. They can go out and win more titles in Japan. There's a reason they want to come to the U.S., and it's to win a World Series. It's to conquer another level of baseball. As much as the Yankees can, yes, offer money and yes, offer, the idea of playing in New York, they can also offer winning, and they can also offer development. But I imagine the one guy every Yankee fan wants to talk about is Murakami. Murakami, I mean, we saw yesterday, inside out swing on a fastball near his hands, basically 111 miles an hour into left center field as a lefty. He hit it the other way. He's a big, big left-handed hitter. He's going to be 26 when he's posted, right? You could already kind of dream about, Judge and Volpe and Murakami and Dominguez and Wells and Jones and Peraza and all these young guys and all these superstar talents just getting a guy like Murakami added in there who set the record for any Japanese-born player for home runs hit in a season, the MPB. Like, I mean, Alex, I think you can speak to this as well. You saw that swing from Murakami and you immediately thought, New York Yankee.
I mean, the way he swung the bat was just like, damn. Like, I'd love to have him in pinstripes, man. I mean, this is a player that hit 318 with a 458 OBP last year. Again, like, a lot of times the Japanese players are just like the good ones or even the great ones just dominate, the Central League over there. But then they come to, Major League Baseball, definitely an adjustment, but they still rake, Suzuki is kind of one that stands out and, obviously was tremendous and had a good season last year, but, could be better. I definitely think that right now the Yankees are in a place that if they want to find their long-term solution on, what is he, a third baseman and first baseman? Where would he play if he was to come over here?
So Fangraphs, they have a scouting report on him. He does play third base, but they believe that projectability, they don't think he's going to stick there long-term. It's kind of like an Andre Chaparro situation where, yes, on paper they can play third base, but you're probably going to throw him at first base or even left field if absolutely necessary.
Right. I mean, dude, look, I just wrote an article about 30 minutes ago, and we've talked about Andrea Chaparro a lot, and he could be a great long-term first base solution. Homegrown, obviously, very cheap, but he's a righty. The Yankees want a lefty bat at first base. That's why they ended up trading Luke Voit to the Padres. So, this player is the perfect. It's like he was grown in a freaking lab to play first base for this Yankee team. 23 years old, 6'2", 213 pounds of pure muscle and pure freaking power. 56 homers this past season, over 141 games and 487 at bats. This is a player that if you want to dominate the short right porch in Yankee Stadium, you give him the bag. You provide him with the financial compensation to be a significantly talented player for the Yankees for a very long time. Again, 23 years old. He is super young. He probably hasn't even entered his prime yet, which is ridiculous considering his metrics. But, Anthony Rizzo's on a 2-year, $40 million deal. When is he supposed to be posted again? 2024?
Following 2025 season. So I think it's right after, if Rizzo picks up that club option, it'd be right there.
Well, I guess it would be if the team picks up the club option. And ultimately, if you're looking at it realistically, Rizzo, back injuries, veteran, he's already kind of has that chronic back issue that's going to need supplementary action. That's why we have DJ LeMahieu, Oswaldo Cabrera. We have guys to kind of mitigate that fatigue. This is the perfect replacement, guys. You just roll that $20 million over right into this player in Murakami, right? Like, I don't know how much he's going to cost, but $20 million I feel like would cover it. And you just roll that over from Rizzo right into his qualities at 25 years old when it's 2025 and he's posted. And you have a pretty seamless transition there. I mean, that seems like a pretty straightforward, move for the Bombers. And think about this. You have Jason Dominguez, youngster, in the outfield, right? You're not having to pay a lot of money for him because he's going to be, in his second season as a professional with, minimal service time. Anthony Volpe, well, let's imagine he plays half a year worth of service time this year, maybe more. He's still going to be extremely cheap for the next 6 years. The Yankees have set themselves up for a very good future in terms of key positions being extremely affordable. Oswald Peraza, if he ends up starting at shortstop or third, whatever it might be, Trey Sweeney is there. Maybe he elevates. Maybe Everson Pereira takes over an outfield spot. The Yankees have a lot of financial flexibility moving forward. They can afford to invest in their pitching. And think about the bullpen. Ron Marinaccio, Clay Holmes, Wandy Peralta, extremely cheap players. You got Greg Weiser, who they're very high on. Clark Schmidt, who's barely even seen any MLB action. We have a really cheap and affordable bullpen. Scott Efros will be back next year. Another guy who's 1 year of service time. This is a really good situation for the Yankees. The starting rotation, Nestor Cortez, he's still under contract for a couple more years, I think until 2026. Jose Trevino, still 2026, he's under contract. We have control over him. The starting rotation, you look at Garrett Cole, who obviously, his contract, Giancarlo Stanton, maybe we end up finding a way. I mean, I think his contract's kind of guaranteed because it's hard to get out of because he has a no trade clause, I believe. But if you're looking at what the Yankees can do right now and in the near future, investing in these types of talents is a good move because we have the financial flexibility and a lot of youth taking over.
I don't disagree at all. And the Yankees, of course, they've shown an ability to draft very well. The Yankees over the last few years have accumulated plenty of really good prospects. We've gone back-to-back trade deadlines where the Yankees have traded not one, but like 2 or 3 top 100 caliber, prospects. And it hasn't really affected their farm system, right? Does anyone miss Ezekiel Duran? Because he was the top 100 prospect moved in the Joey Gallo deal. Does anyone miss Luis Medina? Because he was a near top 100 prospect who was moved in the Frankie Montas deal. Even I would even go as far as to say that, not that the Yankees haven't traded anyone of impact, because I think Hayden Wesneski is a really good arm, and I think Ken Waldichuk certainly has potential to be a very good arm. But it hasn't hurt the Yankees too bad, because the Yankees can replenish his depth pretty quickly. There are guys like Will Warren who has just absolutely filthy stuff. And quite frankly, he could be a top line starting pitcher, even an elite reliever at some point in his career. You look at, these international free agents, one big thing is their youth, right? You can give these guys longer term deals at lower AAV. Sasaki is another guy that we haven't really talked about a lot, but, he's averaging 100 miles an hour in his fastball. He is probably the hardest throwing, most talented pitcher on planet Earth right now in terms of just raw stuff. Is he the best pitcher on planet Earth? Probably not. He's young. He's still 21, still got, things to learn about baseball and pitching. And there's a lot of, he's only 21, so he's not even in his physical prime yet. But that's a dude who also, I think, be posted right around when Murakami can get posted, or maybe a year later. But we're talking about guys, we're talking about a dude who might be the hardest thrower in the world. We're talking about Murakami, who can hit balls upwards of 111 miles an hour. We're talking, generational raw power. We're talking about guys like Yamamoto with elite command, right? And just remarkable stuff that these are guys that are going to be, top of the line Major League Baseball players, right? And they're young, right? Yamamoto's gonna be posted when he's 25 at the end of this year. I think you can agree with me here. The Yankees, not that the Yankees don't have star talent, but as the Yankees, to figure out which prospects are stars and which ones are quality major leaguers and which ones aren't, that's why you bring in guys like Omar Minaya to kind of identify which prospects are good from an outside lens and not. But you're also going to want to keep supplementing your core with young superstar talent. And these guys, are the Yankees only going to acquire international free agents? No. But are international free agents becoming a much more attractive option than what they were even 10 years ago? Absolutely. International baseball's never been more talented. And I think, the World Baseball Classics kind of put that on display. But we're looking at guys here that, number one, as you mentioned, Murakami's kind of just like, it's like he was developed in a lab for the New York Yankees, right? Big left-handed bat. That's a dude who, you could imagine him and Judge. Judge might still have enough in him to, be a top-of-the-line offensive bat. You have maybe a prime Anthony Volpe. You have Murakami hitting in between those two guys. I can't even imagine the damage he could do at Yankee Stadium. And even, if you get Yamamoto instead of Sasaki, Yamamoto at the end of this year, he's not throwing as hard as Sasaki, but, if you have him as your three, you have, Cole, Rodon, Sasaki, and then Yamamoto, and then Cortez, right? That's your rotation for the next, 3 years set. And if Schmidt has that big year that we think, could potentially be there for him, you have a really young rotation at the back half, and then you have your two dogs, your two, aces at the top of your rotation that are still well in their prime, and those are the only two older guys. So I think it's a good roster construction. It balances out youth talent and veteran talent. And of course, we've seen these guys now pitching in big stages in the WBC. A lot of players have talked about how this is like a postseason World Series environment. So it's not like these guys are unfamiliar to the big moment now. But overall, I think I'm really impressed with these three guys. I think the Yankees need to be all over them when these guys hit free agency. At least give it a try. You're not going to sign all three. You might only sign one of the three. Hell, you might not even sign any of them, right? But you got to be all in. I think you got to push all your chips onto the table and do your best to try to get one of these three, if not two of these three.
Definitely. Murakami's situation kind of unfolds perfectly with Rizzo's 2-year contract, so you love to see that. And Sasaki, man, like you said, 21 years old. The guy is a freaking monster. They're saying that, he is probably one of the most talented pitchers you could see in the world right now. And he looks like he's been just going. He kind of has this like Jacob deGrom frame too. Like this is a blank check type of guy, as I think Nick posted on the Twitter. So it's definitely kind of a fun scenario where the Yankees have a couple of really talented Japanese players that they can target in the near future, and we are very, very excited about it. But guys, I'd love to hear your perspectives below in the YouTube comments. As always, my friends, appreciate everyone tuning in. Make sure to like and subscribe as always, and we'll catch you guys on the next Fireside Yankees episode.